Hey!
Meanwhile, the actual Red Spy was sitting up off of one of the beds in the respawn room, clutching at his balaclava and groaning. Coming back to life was neither a comfortable nor heavenly experience, despite what Hollywood might think. Wave after wave of nausea hit him, and he felt like he'd been hit by a 2-ton truck. Well, he had been backstabbed by the Blue Spy, and then caught in a firestorm between the Blue Pyro and their own soldier as he bled out. He couldn't say for certain, but the experience could have been something like being hit by a truck. Ignoring his headache, Spy glanced up at the ticking clock on the wall and sighed in relief. Only a few more minutes left in his day. He hesitantly hoisted himself off of the bed, still not completely trusting his limbs to get the job done. The wobbling in his legs was secondary to the scene replaying in his mind. How had the Blue Spy gotten the better of him? He was so careful, so quiet. Ah! Herr Spy! Good of you to join me! And now the medic was getting the jump on him as well. Bonjour, Doctor! Spy nodded as he turned around, mollified in seeing that he wasn't the only one who'd suffered a respawn in the last few minutes. What happened to you? The Blue Sniper! Medic sighed as he pushed his glasses up of his nose and hopped off of bed. He is good. I will give him credit where it's due. I only hope Herr Heavy is alright. A faint swoosh signaled the beginning of a respawn. Medic peered at the table he previously occupied with worry, but relaxed as a lean, lanky body materialized. Ah, it's just Scout. The gentle swooshing of respawn suddenly became a violent screech. A faint explosion threw Spy and Medic backwards, the Frenchman instantly grabbing the doctor and pulling him farther away from the epicenter. He pressed the medic up against the wall even as he screeched his eyes shut against the harsh flashing light that followed the explosion. The air crackled and popped with electrical surges. Heat washed over both men for a panicked instant. Spy wondered if the entire base was going up in flames. Then, as quickly as it happened, it stopped. For a long moment, both Medic and Spy remained frozen, breathing hard and listening to the distant whirring of machinery. Finally, Medic scowled. I am not a kind Spy! Get out of me this instant! Spy ignored the indigent German as he stood, stepping cautiously back over to where Scout was. Or, more accurately, where Scout should have been. Mon Dieu! Spy's eyes narrowed. The boy has been vaporized! Indeed, there was nothing left of the Red Scout, save for his clothes. The medic stood slowly, grumbling about old age, and nudged a pile of clothes with his boot. His icy blue eyes were sorrowful for a moment. At his best, Scout had been a nuisance, but his dove seemed to have taken a liking to the boy, and the speedster was usually very gentle to him. And then those eyes lit up again. Vaporized! How intriguing! I wonder what Scout felt in his last moments. Oh, I will have to start whole new experiments! And with that, he left the respawn room, muttering something about medical discoveries of the age. Spy continued to stare down at the crumbled pile. He never liked Scout, but he never would have wished vaporization on him either. Well, maybe once or twice when the idiot spilled milk all over his expensive suits. Spy rubbed the back of his neck. He tried to think of something nice to say, but any and all eulogies that came to his mind involved taking potshots at Scout's virginity. Parvul garçon, he mumbled, drawing his cigarette case out of one pocket and a lighter out of the other. Bah! The lighter froze a few inches away from the cigarette. Spy turned around slowly. And there, wearing nothing but a black baseball cap, was a toddler. And not just any toddler, but an oddly familiar toddler with a buck-toothed grin and floppy Dumbo-like ears. His white eyes took in Spy before the cat remembered it was too big for such a little head and slid down. As Spy watched, stunned, the naked boy stood himself up on chubby legs and waddled over to the pile of clothes. From it he produced a baseball bat. Boink! The boy chuckled as he plopped himself down. Murder or laws. Spy slapped a hand to his face. Oh, that boink was too familiar. Scout hadn't been killed after all. Of course, the boy couldn't do anything so simple as die. Scout grinned up at Spy. Bah! He exclaimed, struggling to hold up the heavy aluminum weapon. Spy cursed inwardly. He'd never hear the end of it from the engineer if he let a child wander around with weapons. He crouched down to eye level with Scout. One gloved hand wrapped itself around the bat. Having grown up with 7 older brothers, Scout knew right away when someone was going to take his toys away. And this strange man with no face was not going to get his bat. No! He clutched his toy closer. His eyes narrowed. Scout, you imbecile! Spy hissed. Give it to me before you hurt yourself! Scout shrieked as Spy tried to tug the bat away. No! Mine! Fortunately, Spy was spared a shouting match with the toddler by the administrator's harsh voice booming a red victory. Spy paused, smiling in spite of himself. His teammates were fools, but very efficient fools. Scout also froze at the administrator's voice, but instead of being placated, he inched towards Spy. "This day is getting better and better!" Medic exclaimed from the resupply room. Spy glanced between the bay doors and the little Scout before scooping the boy and his accessories up. The boy squawked and struggled to get out of Spy's arms, but the Frenchman held him firmly as he could. "Doctor, we have a small problem." Medic had been bustling about his locker, emptying out for the weekend, but at Spy's words he glanced backwards. "Was it das? Which of our teammates is father to the bouncing baby boy?" It's not, no one is. No one deal, Scout! Stop wriggling this instant before I drop you! The medic's perfectly groomed eyebrows shot up into his perfectly groomed hair. "Scout," he repeated flatly. "Oi, Doctor. It seems it was not vaporized at all. Just, shrunk." "Shrunk? Scout is kind?" Medic's eyes widened in delight. "How intriguing! And, Spy, you're going to drop him if you hold him like that. Give him to me." Anyone else on the red team would have hesitated before handing a small child over to the resident crazy doctor. But there was a few things Spy hated more than children, especially if said children were Scout, and he handed him over without a qualm. The medic shushed the protesting Scout and repositioned him in his arms. "Oof, someone has been into the cookie jar. We should get him into some clothes and see how much he remembers." From Medic's arms, Scout glared at Spy. Spy glared right back before tossing Scout's clothes at the Medic's feet. Medic smirked and placed Scout down on a bench. "Bah!" Scout squealed as he waved his favorite toy around. "Ja, ja, Scout, your precious bot." Medic rolled his eyes as he picked up Scout's stained shirt. He pulled out a pair of scissors from his lab coat and set to work with steady, surgeon hands. Both Scout and Spy watched with interest as Medic messily tailored the shirt into something manageable for their small charge. "I did not know you sewed," Spy frowned. "A small hobby to keep one's fingers flexible. Ah, this looks good." He squeezed the makeshift shirt over Scout's head along with Scout's signature dog tags. He then replaced Scout's too big cap on his head. It slipped down again and Scout peeked out with a giggle. "Hi." "Guten Tag, Kind." Medic allowed himself with a small smile. "Now, what is your name?" "Scout." The boy pointed to himself proudly. "Good. And I am?" Scout stared at him with a puzzled expression until something caught his eye. He pointed to the stethoscope hanging from the medic's locker. "What's that?" "Scout." Medic pulled Spy over. "Do you recognize this man?" Scout tilted his head to the side. "Who's that?" Medic sighed. Lost medical license or not, the German had a keen mind and could always analyze a situation almost as well as the engineer. He pushed his glasses up to his nose, and they slipped again. "He does not recognize us. It appears that respawn malfunctioned, and in the process of healing our Scout, it reverted him back to the younger age." "But we are fine!" Spy gestured to himself and the doctor. "How could I have affected only a single member of the team?" Medic shrugged. "I have no idea. For now, we will handle the situation at hand. The rest of the team must be informed." He caught Scout as the little boy tried to scoot off the bench. As our chatty little friend would usually say, "Thank God for Friday." Spy sighed as he patted around his suit for his cigarette case. He had a feeling he was going to need a whole lot more before the weekend ended.
Let's do it!